That's right, David. We have a few thunderstorms out there and some heavy rain across areas of Virginia Beach. Radar estimates between 1 and 2 inches of rain have fallen, and that can cause some issues with some flooding on some of those roadways, some ponding of the water. So let's get right to the radar, show you what we're tracking. Again, not everybody's seeing the rain. We've got a couple of thunderstorms popping up across the peninsula and the middle peninsula, a couple more out towards Virginia Beach. And at the top of the broadcast, we were talking about this brand new flood advisory that had been issued for parts of Virginia Beach because of the heavy rain. The good news is that heavier rain is working its way off towards the south and west. But those areas, if that heavy rain continues, we could see a flood advisory extended towards the west. Right now, it's until 6 o'clock for areas around Janif and Military Circle Mall, right in there. 264 and 64 interchange off towards the east. That includes areas of the ocean front and Oceana. The heaviest of the rain now is working its way back through northern areas of Chesapeake and over towards South Norfolk and right along the Elizabeth River right now, and that continues over towards Ballyland Shore. So some heavy rain there that's slowly drifting off towards the west, and some heavier rain around the Sportsplex as well right through here, and that's slowly sliding towards the south. So a couple of thunderstorms on the south side, a couple more up across the peninsula and the middle peninsula. Some heavier rain just around Williamsburg and east of there over towards 64. Some heavier rain up through Gloucester County as well. Right now the heaviest is fairly confined right here around Charleston Heights and over towards Portobello and just west of Cheatham Annex, and then it picks up as a little bit heavier as you cross the river over towards Gloucester County, Roan, Sign Pine, Almondsville, over towards Ark along 17, Sassafras. You've got that heavy rain that's drifting towards the north. So through the rest of the evening, a few of these isolated thunderstorms, a lot more activity out towards the west as well. You can see those showers and thunderstorms firing up. And over the next couple of days, we'll see some of these showers and storms popping up during the afternoon. Not everybody will see them, but there will be a few out there. So timing things out through the rest of the evening, partly cloudy skies, a few isolated showers and thunderstorms through the evening and into the overnight. A muggy and warm night, temperatures in the 70s, and that's where we will start the day tomorrow. Dry mainly through the first half of the day. Heat and humidity build. We start to see a few of these showers and thunderstorms firing up into the afternoon. Not as hot tomorrow. Today we were well up into the 90s. Tomorrow, a little bit of a shifting wind and a front stalled out across the area and pretty much falling apart. Temperatures in the upper 80s. Notice a few showers and storms. So for some of those Friday night football games, might have to watch the radar because there will be some showers and storms out there. Things clear out tomorrow night, and then on Saturday we start the day dry, and into the afternoon a couple more pop-up showers or thunderstorms. You can see the cloudy skies and that shower off in the distance here with our sky view camera. 83 degrees. It feels like 87. Of course, that's at the airport. Many other spots it feels like 100 or more, but we're in the 90s, like Franklin 93, Newport News 93 in Hertford, 95 Wakefield, 89 in Hampton. When you factor in that humidity, again, it feels more like 100 to 105. So isolated evening thunderstorms, muggy and warm tonight, 76 degrees. Isolated storms possible tomorrow, not quite as hot. High temperature of 88. We pretty much hold in the upper 80s right through the weekend and into early next week. Better chance for some isolated showers and storms on Saturday, about a 1 in 3 chance. And then notice those rain chances go down a little bit as temperatures pretty much hold around 87, 88 degrees right through Labor Day and the end of next week.